very excited to have Patrina with me, and it's been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming. Right. And, for those that are listening in perhaps for the first time, Huddle Up is really a platform where I really huddle, which is usually a short conversation to inspire and to provide information and motivation based on a conversation I'm having with someone that I think have something really fantastic to share.
Yeah.
So before we get started, I want you to tell the listeners a little bit about who you are. Who is Patrina?
Who is Patrina? I am a mother, a wife. I'm someone that really just cares about her community. I love to fit in wherever I can.
Yeah.
If I have any strengths that can benefit in any area, I like to get involved. I really like to bring about impact. So for me, it's not about being seen, which some people think. It really isn't. It's about, can I put a smile on people's faces? Can I make a difference? If I can't make a difference and I'm not putting a smile on someone's face, then I don't need to be in that role. I don't need to be in that position. And so that's kind of what my life is.
Thank you. And
simple.
Thank you. And I've had the opportunity to see you in many different spaces, and your comment around putting a smile on people's face is definitely the value that I see expressed in the many different ways that you show up. So when I talk about the many different ways that you show up, I want you to tell us a little bit about the different versions of Patrina.
I knew you were going there. So it's a little difficult sometimes to talk about yourself, but I wear many hats. So one of the hats that I wear outside of wife and mother is I'm the managing director of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Bermuda. Responsible for programming, fund development, and all aspects of the program, and ensuring that we're meeting the needs of the clients that we serve. It's funny because the families that we have in this program really inspire me and make me want to do even more. There are so many misconceptions about people that may have gone through stuff. And sometimes people have misconceptions about people that are struggling or people that they see in the community, but to actually get to know people and really understand their circumstances and what they're being faced with, it definitely changes your perspective, and it makes you want to do more to help and to bring about change and impact. So with all of that said, comes motivational speaking, comes helping out other charities or fitting in wherever I can. But also there is the Power Girl side, which started with radio and TV. I used to host my own TV show, I used to host my own radio show, involved in media. And from there, I started emceeing events. It's funny because back when I was like in primary school, I used to sing with my mom. So that's kind of where it all started.
That's how I met you.
Yeah.
You didn't know me then, but I remember you and your mom singing.
Right. And I was never afraid to be on a stage. That once you put a mic in my hand, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel very, very comfortable. Take the mic away from me, I feel like like I can shrink down and hide from everyone. But that's how I really started. I started singing with my mom, and after that, hosting events, just being able to put a smile on people's faces and different types of events. So it's not where it's funny because I thought I was in one frame of events, and then the next thing I knew, I was doing sporting events, I was doing corporate events, I was doing community-centered events, I was doing church events. And so I don't believe in limiting myself to just one thing. I believe that I can, if I can bring my value, I'm gonna go anywhere with it, wherever God leads me.
I like that. It's understanding that you are not one thing, that you are constantly growing and evolving.
And evolving, yes.
And evolving. But the constant is your values. And you said that as long as it's aligned with my values, and for you, what I'm hearing from you, your values around helping others, making an impact, and putting a smile on people's face. This leads us nicely. It's a great segue I was at an event a few months ago where you were the MC for this amazing event. It was like a TED Talk style event, the Women Resource Center, I think it was.
Yes, it was the International
International Women's Day,
yes.
right? And it was an early morning, like breakfast type thing, very early. And I got there just before the event started. And so I was really pretty much very close to the door. I'm bringing this up because this is about reacting and responding in the moment. And you walk in to the right to the cusp of the door, right to the entrance, and you were being announced. And I saw this look of overwhelmed on your face because the room, it was at the City Hall, which is, a huge theater here in Bermuda, and it was jammed packed and the energy was immense.
And jam-packed with women, right? Right.
Jam-packed with women, right? And
powerful women, all different types of
women.
Yes.
Yes. And I remember seeing you at the door, and I could read your entire body language, and I can't remember exactly what I said, but I remember I went over to you. You probably don't even remember because you were in your zone. And I went over to you and I said, "You got this."
Oh, I remember. Trust me. I remember that you got this because I was starting, my heart was palpitating. I was like, okay, you've got this. I had some stuff going on and I was just like having a hard, stressful morning. And I was like, I don't feel like I can do this. And I was like, God, you really have to help me through this because I don't know how I'm going to get through. And I started to take my deep breaths and then I started to hyperventilate a little bit. And it's funny because people don't necessarily always see that side. And the music came on, they announced my name, they handed me the mic, and then I saw Wendy was on the sideline cheering me on. You had already said, I've got this. And I was like, I looked up, I looked down, I gripped the mic, put it up, put it down, and then put it back up and walked in the room and was like,
it was I felt like I had a front seat row in your secret sauce around. I literally saw you move from fear to calm, and then you just stepped right into your most powerful self. And I really wanted to share that because so many people think that, if you do something over and over and you're very confident at it, that you don't have these moments. But I do believe that it is in those moments of fear and overwhelm and sometimes distraction and sometimes when things are not going well that, people are there surrounding you that show up at the most opportune time. And also to understand that you don't go this alone and to realize that there was a bigger purpose for you being there than all the stuff that was in front of you.
Yep.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, I had the privilege of actually being in the audience and watching her do her thing. And it is something that is natural. It is something that is magnetic. And it is definitely your gifting. You are fully operating in your gift. And just to see you use all of your talents, because you were singing, you were dancing, I mean, you were interviewing, you were announcing, you were doing all and everything.
And it's so funny because a lot of times in the past, I've held myself back. And there was a period of time where I knew what I was being called to do because I really feel like this is what I'm called to do. And I know it sounds cliche for some people, but this is my belief, right? And so I was like, this is what I'm called to do, but people don't like me or people are not going to accept me. People think I'm a ditz. People think whatever. And you have to get to the point where it's like, well, if you're called to do this, you have to do this. And sometimes you'll watch somebody else do the thing that you're called to do. And you're like, oh, I wish, or, and then I had people like the Martha Dismonts and the Gina Spences and other people that were like, no, like you have to be unapologetically who you are because people need you. There is someone out there that needs you to be who you are because that's going to help them to get to where they need to be. So it's not even necessarily about you as an individual. And sometimes I think when you're in the public eye, people view it as, oh, that she just likes to be seen. She just likes to be silly. It's really not like that. I really couldn't care. Like I literally could stay home on my couch. I don't have to be seen, but I know that in order for me to make the impact in the other ways, I have to be out there in this way as well. So it's very important for me to be able to do what I'm called to do. And as hard as it is, and I have to do it in spite of what other people say, and in spite of any negativity that comes out there. And does it hurt at times? Of course. I'm human. And but I have to get up and I have to do what I know I'm called to do. I can't listen to those outside voices. And 9 times out of 10, the outside voices that are trying to hold you back, what are they doing? Why are they talking about you? If they have so much time to talk about you, they could be doing something that's a little bit more positive or changing the community. It's almost like complaining about government, complaining about this person, complaining about this, but what are you doing to bring about the change that you want to see in your own community?
I love it. I love it. What are you doing to bring about the change that you want to see? And so, it's that quote about, who gets in the ring. If you're not in the ring, then you don't have a leg to stand on to say anything about the person that's in the ring, because that person is brave and courageous enough to get in the ring.
And
So
this, the
how
other
do
part
you?
is, it also get like with what I'm being able to do now, it's been able to get me into doors that I might not have been able to if I didn't take those steps, and be in circles that I might not be able to if I didn't take those steps. And that's gonna help to bring further impact, I believe.
I love that. I love that. And it's really understand that there's a bigger purpose to our gifting. There's a
Yes.
bigger purpose to our gifting. And when we move in those areas of gifting with integrity and with focus, not to be distracted, but with focus, then we can be used more powerfully. We can enter into those spaces and those rooms that we otherwise wouldn't, because we're not playing small to appease others, but we're fully expanded and we are fully thriving and taking risk in our areas of gifting so that we can have a wider impact. So I can so resonate with what you are saying, because playing small does not do anyone any benefit, and it lessens our impact.
Then I'm also dying inside because I'm not being authentically true to who I am. And I think so many people allow the outside voices get to them so much that they are not allowing themselves to be who they're authentically supposed to be. And I'll never forget, one person said to me, and I say this a lot when I go out, is that, one of the richest places in the world is the graveyard. And the reason behind that is because so many people have passed away and they've had dreams, they've had goals, they've had, and it's, some of them didn't execute, not just because of their death, but because of other people, but because they just didn't believe in themselves, or they were held back because of, in their mind, they're like, I can't do this, or somebody else needs to do it.
But it's funny when you're the person that is the very person that you said, I'm thinking, like, I used to say, oh, I wish they had someone in my company that would be a coach, that would understand what I'm going through, that would support me, but there never is. And I said this for decades, not realizing that I am what I needed. So I needed to become the thing that I needed that I didn't have in order to be there to support others. So my point is that so many times when you when you dim your light, or you don't move in the area that you're gifted in, you short circuit opportunities for yourself, and you miss out on the very thing that will give you joy and pizzazz and energy and just that cool vibe, because there's so
and you
many.
are the coach that somebody else needs. Like, like I was saying earlier, like, somebody else needs what you have in order to get to the next level. In order for something to happen, in order for impact to happen. And so it's like, it's that domino effect. And sometimes we're that key to it,
Yeah, instead of, and if we don't act, then we don't change things, and that was my point, was if I just sat there and waited for somebody else to show up, and nobody shows up, then nobody would have had the benefit of the work that I do. So sometimes you have to risk it all and you have to show up even
Shaking
when,
in your boots.
yes, even though you're terrified, you're shaking, you're fearful, you're overwhelmed, you have doubt, you all those emotions are going on. But the one thing that you're absolutely clear about is that this is what I am designed to do. And it's such a privilege to be able to walk in that part of yourself while you're alive and well, because like you
Yes.
said, you know, so many people have passed on or are living lives that are totally misaligned with where they need to be. And you can see because they don't have that energy and pizzazz and that good vibes that come
And you
with,
want to pour it all
yeah.
out. You want to
Yes.
take everything. I want everything empty. I want it all out on the
Mhm.
table, everything,
Mhm.
whatever
Mhm.
I'm meant to leave on the earth, whatever legacy I'm meant to leave, whatever that is, I want to make sure of that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Makes my heart happy. So as you think about, you know, as we move forward, right? You know, we're now kind of done a few laps around the pandemic, so we're going into this.
Yeah.
This is the way things are. What, if anything, have you learned new about yourself? As you know, we went through a 1 in 100 year event, and just to say that we went through a pandemic and we're on the other side in and of itself is something to be grateful for. And what, if anything, have you learned about yourself, or maybe something new that you've tried, or maybe something that you stopped doing as a result of the transformational mindset shift that we've all gone through as a result of the pandemic?
I think during the pandemic for me is when I became closer friends with Leah Dean. And during that period, I've always had friends, but I never really relied on a full tribe of women to really help to empower and yeah, listen, I guess when you've been hurt by people in the past, it kind of makes you put your guard up. And so for me, I never was someone that trusted certain, just not, I wouldn't say women in general, but I've been hurt. So it was kind of like, oh, I can do this. But now, through Leah and opening the door, because even you becoming a part of the tribe too, right?
Yeah,
Being
I had
able
just
to,
gotten back from London and reconnected with Leah, and I was like, "Oh yes, I'm in."
right. I wasn't like that. I was like, oh, I don't know about all this. But even having that network of women that have that same goal of the stuff that we're talking about, that want to bring about impact, that want to bring about change, that are really focused and driven and just powerful women that are just really trying to make an impact and entrepreneurs and business women, and just to be able to be in those circles and be able to bounce off ideas, or if you're going through something, have someone that will pray for you, or someone that will actually just be that shoulder to cry on sometimes, or just somebody to listen to and feel in a non-judgmental way. I think it's so, and then finding out that, hey, they've been going through the same thing as you and they feel the same way. And I would have never probably had that experience if I had not reached out to Leah during the pandemic and developed those relationships. So that was one thing for me is really the power of that tribe and that network of women behind you and next to you and just supporting you in your endeavors, and actually sometimes partnering with you on stuff. It's
Yeah,
amazing to
it's
see.
a lovely thing, you know. Loneliness is a big thing, you know, that is happening. You know, we're in a world now where the largest part of our population are elderly, and
Yes.
you know, I say all the time, you know, that we should nurture and build and be intentional about our friendships, because as we get older, it's harder to build friendships because you have to
Harder,
invest
yes.
years and years. As you get older, you have less years to invest, right? And so and so it is important that you really are intentional about investing in friendships. And I knew for me when I came back home that I needed to plug into a community really, really fast, because I wanted to feel a sense of belonging and inclusiveness. And I wanted to feel like I was back home. And that doesn't
Yes.
happen if I exclude myself. And I would say, like you, I have learned the power of having a village, the power of always working to expand my network of, especially with people that are not like me. that are not from the similar background. They're probably younger. I have a lot of young people. I have a lot of young people, Patrina,
I
in the
know, I
group.
see them. You got a whole
Girl,
clique.
I do netball. I coach a netball team. They make me tired, but I love hanging around them because they're so young and they're so energetic and they just have a different view and perspective. It helps me to
I
understand
agree.
what matters to them and what's important to them. It keeps you young. And then I have the older, more seasoned individuals who I'm telling you, my mentor, she just says it as it is. Oh my goodness, like straight up, there is no padding. And so
I'm not sugarcoating this. I'm
no
telling you.
sugarcoating. I mean, it's like, did you have to say it that way? Yes, I did. But
Feelings hurt, but it makes us think, right, and process it and kind
exactly,
of
and
get
it's
it, right?
honest and it's, but I just love the diversity that I'm enjoying now with the breadth of relationships that I have. So
And can I
I can
just
talk
say that
about,
though?
go ahead.
But can I just say though, like
Yes,
even in that, how you started this was talking about when I was in that moment. And what happened in that moment? You walked in and you said, at City Hall, you've got this. I remember. And then I have Wendy on the side just going like this, come on, power girl, power girl. And so it was, I'm getting ready to go in, but you all were pumping me up. You know what I mean?
yes, yeah, we're
Didn't realize it, but
cheerleaders.
it was that tribe surrounding me that
Yeah,
was like gassing me up, like, come on, you got this, let's go. And then I picked up the mic and I was able to let's go because I also had you surrounding me, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. That's so beautiful. And, it is something that we need to be mindful that we're doing, that if we see somebody that
build them
we haven't
up.
seen somebody for a while, or just send a WhatsApp or just send a quick email or a quick call to say, hey, I've missed you. How are you doing? You'd be
Because you never know
surprised.
what people are
You
going
never,
through. And that's what I'm
exactly.
finding now.
Yeah.
And that's I'm glad you mentioned that because that's another thing that I've changed a lot too, is I've actually started really just checking in on people. Like if somebody crosses my mind, instead of saying, okay, I'll get back to them later, I'll send them a quick WhatsApp or I'll call them. Whereas before it would just be like, okay, now I'm intentional about checking in and even having like a lunch or a tea or something. Before I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And never show up, never do anything. And now I'm like, no, I need to show up.
Yes, we
I
do.
need to be
And
intentional.
yeah, we need to show up because, when things hit the fan, that's not the time to be reaching out, right? We want to make sure that we have those solid relationships. And
Yes.
I'm just like you, very intentional around relationships. And I reached out to a good friend of mine. I haven't seen her for such a long time. And I sent her a WhatsApp. I said, I've missed you. Can we connect? And she's like, how is next week Thursday? I said, yeah, I'm free after 3. She says, well, we're gonna go for afternoon tea at Hamilton Princess. And I'm like, oh, that sounds wonderful. And my point is that we need relationships. We are designed for relationships, and we
Yes.
are not designed to do this alone. And I think as I ponder on what I do for a living and what you do for a living, that we are in the space of helping others and helping people to be well and helping them to be their best self. So the last question I want to ask is, how do you take care of yourself for somebody that gives off such, like you said, you give it all, you leave it all on the pitch. How do you take care of yourself?
So this is an area that's a work in progress. I'm going to be very open and honest with that. Because I'm someone that's high energy, hyper. I like to go. I like to do. That's been a challenge for me. Here recently through some stuff that I was going through health wise. Because I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Someone getting little aches and pains here. So if any young people are watching this, take care of yourself, exercise, eat healthy. But on a serious note, through some stuff that I was going through, it was like my doctor was like, "Can you just exercise? Can you do some mindful stuff? Can you relax? Can you?" And so what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks is actually been trying to run a bit, getting on the little bike to ride, reading. I love reading and I love listening to inspirational music and inspirational podcast, inspirational devotionals and stuff like that relaxes me. But the other thing is I live near the water. So I frequent like just going outside to sit next to the water and playing with my dog. I like a massage, but I'm not rich, so I don't frequently get massages, but but it's really, I like having that time where I can just process and be quiet. Um, Even though I used to work at a radio station, believe it or not, a lot of times my husband will come home or my family will come home and nothing's on. No radio, no TV, nothing, just me and my thoughts, or me and a book, or just, me sitting outside.
Yeah.
So,
So it's like
so
doing the opposite is what refills you and
yeah,
gives you the energy. And
sometimes I just have to just not have anyone call, just
mhm,
nothing, just be to myself for a bit,
mhm. The self-care thing is really a journey. I mean, my context around self-care, in the early days was like sleep. That was self-care. And now I've realized that, if I don't intentionally take care of myself, I can only give so much.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I want to be around for a while, and I want to be engaged, and I want to thrive in what I'm doing. And so as we talked about intentionality about building relationship, we have to be intentional about taking care of ourselves and making sure that, we're putting on the mask first so that we can help to take care of all the people that we want to take care of and make the impact that we want to make in this world.
And you know what's so funny is that I also realized that the power girl side of me is also a form of self-care, which is it sounds crazy. It it really is. It's something that builds me. It's something that brings so much joy to me when I can get out there and have somebody dance or laugh or smile or see somebody that's looking miserable and all of a sudden I come across them like, hey, Power, and they give me a hug and they're happy. Like I feed off of that energy. And I took a little bit of a break between like Christmas and the beginning of the year. And during that time, it was like I was
You missed it.
I did.
Yeah.
Like I missed the interactions. I didn't miss the notoriety of it, but just the connection of it, it really, I don't know, it builds me, and
Yeah,
it just,
it feeds you.
yeah.
It feeds you. Now I miss you at the sale GP because somehow I thought that I was going to the physical location. And it turns out my husband gave me the wrong thing. I was actually on
You want a
a
boat?
boat in the water. Much to my chagrin, I missed the entire Power Girl thing, but I heard raving reviews how it was awesome and people had a great
Thank you.
time and blah, blah, blah. So I'm so sorry I missed you. And I know it must have been I heard it was
The energy of it was so awesome. I
yeah,
worked I worked alongside Glenn Jones, one of my high school mates from back in the day. Glenn's
yes.
doing amazing things overseas. And they were like, hey, we want to do something fun, but they weren't really sure of what will pull the Bermudian audience. And so Glenn and I were talking and we were like, look, this works for Bermuda. They were like, oh, well, we'll try it. And then we did it once. They were like, we're going to do that all the time. And so we did like a dance cam and going around. We were talking to people. We were interacting with the crowd and people were very receptive. I mean, at one point, I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston was playing and it was a group of men there and they were just singing and dancing. And it was like really it was fun, it was funny, but it was just such a fun moment. And then you look at the other people that were standing above them, they're dancing, they're jigging, they're singing, and I said, okay, this is the CLGP choir, come on, I want to dance with somebody, so that right there, it's
Yes.
that stuff. Oh my goodness, it's just beautiful to
Yeah.
bring the community together. And I'll be down at Bermuda Day next week Friday, and
Yes.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to
Your
doing that.
voice is like I've come to expect your voice at many occasions, whether it be Bermuda Day, whether it be a sporting event. This last sporting event you did was a track and field. That was hilarious. And then, because I love track and fields. For no one that noticed, I'm Jamaican, so I'm just all into track and field. And then, cup match and just
And if anybody is,
your voice is like synonymous with a lot of community, local, rich events
and
and
those are
it's
the events that
yeah,
matter to me, the cultural, the
yeah.
the the community, the bringing together everyone. There are people think I do everything, but there are so many events that I don't do and that I haven't done, that I've never done. And they're like, oh yeah, but I'm like, no. Like even for the first Harbor Night, somebody was like, aren't you? I'm like, and they were like, really? I'm like, no, like I'm not everywhere. I think it seems that I am, but I only participate in the things that matter to me.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'm just not able to do everything. I have to, I have to be mindful of my health, my mental state, and all of that, and make sure that I'm taking care of me at the same time. So I don't do just any and everything,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
but definitely like to make sure it's aligned.
we've touched on so many things. We've touched on the strength of relationships, the value of them, the intentionality around them. We started off talking about living your values and being true to what those values are, and being fierce about expanding your values into new
Yes.
areas as you continue to grow and as you continue to evolve.
And can I just say,
And also about doing things afraid, right? Like
yes,
just putting yourself into those uncomfortable positions so that you can tap into more opportunities, access more room, access make bigger impact, and also taking care of yourself in the process, and being
we covered a lot.
and being intentional about making sure that you're taking care of yourself. So I can see you on Bermuda Day, I can see you at cup match, I can see you at all kinds of stuff, right? And you have that nice energy and pizzazz. And I just want to say, as we wrap up, that I'm just delighted. I told you it was just going to be a conversation. I didn't write any questions down because I just knew that we were going to touch on so many things that I think our listeners can relate to. So as we wrap up, what, if anything, that you can share that people would be surprised to know about you?
Trying to think, what would they be surprised about? So I've said it before though. So some people may not be surprised, but my sister is the social butterfly and I'm not. My sister is the one that loves to be everywhere. She loves people. When it's an event, she's always down for the cause. Me, when people are like, oh, we're having this at wherever, I'm like, okay, thank you, I'm coming, and I don't show up. Like, I'm that person, right? That will rather be at home. And so a lot of times when it comes to events, I get forced to the events kicking and screaming because they're like, my family's like, you're coming to this event and you're gonna be there whether you like it or not. So a lot of times people assume that because you're out there in the public eye, that you always want to be out and that you want to be at some of this cocktail hour and this and that, where I probably don't want to be anywhere. I'd rather be home playing with my dog.
I
So,
actually saw you the other day with your dog, so I can appreciate it. We have a new puppy at our house, at our home as well. He's a Greater Swiss Mountain dog.
oh,
He's like 6 months and he's going to be quite big. And no, I saw you the other day. So, again, just thank you so much for sitting down with me for 30 minutes or so and just sharing your
oh,
life.
Lorene, I have one more thing though.
Oh, you do?
I just
What's
thought
that?
about it. Yeah. So I've also suffered with anxiety,
Ah.
which I think there were a lot of people that suffer with it, but a lot of people don't speak on it.
Mhm.
And my anxiety would be really, really, really bad. I mean, it just, and it causes you to freak out. It causes you to feel sad. It causes you to not want to go anywhere. Um, and I've suffered with that. I have, and I've had to learn how over the years, just like how to deal with it. And I also believe in therapy. I believe in sitting on a couch if you need to. And I know that for some people that's taboo. So don't be afraid to seek help when you need it. I think that's one of the very important things that I would say to someone that's out there. That if you feel like things are just everything's just hitting you, because I had a period in my life when there was just so much negative stuff that was happening in our family. We had people that passed away. It was just so much stuff going on, and I was just in a really, really bad space. And I knew I needed to seek the help that I needed in order to get my mind to where it needed to be. And yes, obviously everyone knows I go to church, I believe in God, and I read and I pray. But outside of that, I also am very a firm believer in making sure that you do that for yourself.
Thank you. So it's the holistic part of you, right? The spiritual part of you, the physical part of you, the
Yeah.
mental part of you. And that's what we talk about when we're talking about wellness. We're talking about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because we are a total person and we are,
Absolutely. And I felt it
yeah,
was necessary to add
yes.
that in
Thank
because
you for saying that.
I know there are so many people that are struggling right now, and people are afraid to kind of let people know and receive and go and actually receive help, and they're dealing with this internally and in their head and not getting the help that they need. And I've seen that we've had suicides on the island. We've had like this is a serious thing, so I just wanted to make sure that I also put that out there, especially
Thank
for you to
you.
put that out there.
Thank you so much for saying that. And, the work that we do in supporting others is the same that is required in terms of how others support themselves. And I would say that's one of the biggest myths that I want to dispel is, I don't know how you were raised, Patrina, but I was raised to be very independent. You know, I'm a Caribbean independent woman, and you know, in many ways that has really set us up to fail, because we can only do so much. We have limited resource. We can only pull ourselves up by the bootstraps so many times. You know, we run out of energy. We run out of willpower. Can only get us so far. And so it's key for anyone that's listening to know that you go farther with others. It's more fun to go with others. It's better to ask for support and to get support than trying to do it alone. We're designed for relationships, and we're designed to be in connection, human connection. Forget about AI, right? We need human.
Listen.
But thank you so much. Like I said, we've covered so much. It's been a very rich conversation.
I hope so.
Well, I think it is.
When you're in the middle of the conversation, you're like, what did I just say? No,
it's really just a rich conversation about a lot of different things. It's about really understanding that we're very multifaceted, that we're continuing to grow, that we don't have it all together. We're making the best of it.
Works in progress.
Yes, we're works in progress, and we are doing our best, our darnest best to stay aligned with our values and the things that are most important to us. So thank you so much for gracing us with your talent, your energy, your good vibes, your power girl vibes, your energy is just magnetic, and it's infectious. And I really, really appreciate that. And above all, just be well, take care of yourself, and I'll see you around on the streets, because I know you're gonna be hanging out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.